All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most fascinating challenges in Web3 today. It's a huge paradox, really. We've finally figured out how to scale blockchains for millions of people, but in the process, we kind of smashed the whole thing into a million tiny, disconnected pieces. So the big question is, how on earth do we put it all back together?
You know, in the very beginning, there was just Ethereum. And you can think of it like one giant sprawling megacity. Everything and everyone was in the same place. All the apps, all the transactions, they all lived on the same block, in the same neighborhood. This gave us this magical property called synchronous composability, which is just a super fancy way of saying everything just worked together, instantly. No questions asked.
But here's the thing about a popular city. It gets crowded. And fast. Suddenly, our beautiful megacity was gridlocked. There were constant traffic jams on the networks, and the cost of doing literally anything, the gas fees, went through the roof. It was clear that for all its elegance, this one city model just wasn't going to cut it. It couldn't scale. So the community came up with a new plan, the modular thesis. The idea was, instead of one giant megacity, let's build hundreds of new, specialized cities. We call them Rollups, and each one would be its own little high-speed metropolis, processing transactions like crazy. A brilliant solution, except we built every single one of these new cities on its own private island. And that right there is the central question we're tackling today. We solved the scaling problem, but we created a brand new one, fragmentation. We've built this massive archipelago of isolated chains. So how do you get from one island to another? How do you trade or build or do anything when they don't even operate on the same clock?
Yeah, this fragmentation, it's not just a little annoyance, it's a genuine crisis. It kind of undermines the whole point of having a connected network in the first place. So let's break down what this mess actually looks like.
Okay, so this is the crucial trade-off we made. We left the simple, synchronous world behind for one that's way more scalable, but also way more fragmented. Back in the monolithic days, everything happened in one single atomic step. But now, in this new modular era, things are asynchronous. Actions happen in different places at different times, and that, my friends, creates a whole new world of problems.
For you, the user, this is just a complete nightmare. Your money's spread out all over the place, which means you get worse prices when you try to trade. To move your funds between islands, you have to use these things called bridges, which are often super slow and, frankly, are giant targets for hackers. But the absolute worst part? The stuck funds risk. This is where your transaction just fails halfway through, and your money is gone, vanished into the empty space between the chains.
So how do we fix this? Well, it turns out you can't just wave a magic wand. There are some fundamental rules, kind of like the laws of physics for blockchains, that dictate how we can connect these islands. And this is what's known as the composability trilemma.
When we're trying to reconnect this whole archipelago, the big question is, can we have everything we want? Can we get the instant speed of that single city, but with the massive scale of 1,000 islands? The trilemma basically says, probably not. You're going to have to make some tough choices.
So here's the official term for it, the cross-rollup composability trilemma. And all it really means is that when you're trying to build connections between all these chains, you're constantly juggling three key things. And you just can't have a perfect 10 out of 10 on all of them at the same time. Something's got to give.
And here are the three things you're juggling. First, you've got speed. You want interactions to feel instant, right? Then you have independence, the idea that each island, each chain should get to make its own rules. And finally, and this is a big one, you have safety, that absolute guarantee that a transaction is all or nothing. That's what prevents those terrifying stuck funds we talked about. Every single solution we're about to look at makes a different bet on which of these is most important. Okay, so with that trilemma in mind, let's actually check out the blueprints. Let's see how the smartest people in the space are trying to build the bridges, tunnels, and airports for our big blockchain archipelago. Broadly speaking, you can boil it all down to three major architectural visions. You've got these big, integrated ecosystems. Then you have these neutral, shared utilities that everyone can use. And finally, there's a pretty radical approach that wants to use the main chain, Ethereum itself, to tie everything together. Now, this table does a fantastic job of laying out the different trade-offs. Don't worry, let's just walk through it. Take a look at the mechanism row. You see everything from Polygon using some seriously advanced decay-proof math to based rollups doing something much simpler, just letting Ethereum handle it. And these different choices have real consequences. Look down at atomicity. Polygon and based rollups are shooting for that true all-or-nothing safety. Then check out latency. You can see shared sequencers are aiming to be lightning fast, while based rollups look really slow. But, as we'll see, they have a very clever trick up their sleeve to fix that. So first up, we have the walled gardens. This is where big players like Polygon and Optimism are building their own unified ecosystems. Polygon's ag layer uses some incredible zero-knowledge magic, and crucially, it uses what they call pessimistic proofs, which act like a firewall. It just assumes any other chain could be evil and protects the rest of the network. Meanwhile, Optimism's superchain is all about having a shared code base and this really smart burn and mint system that makes moving assets between chains like Base and Optimism feel totally seamless and safe. All right, next approach, shared sequencers. Think of this like a neutral public utility. Instead of each island having its own ruler deciding the order of events, a shared sequencer network like Astria or Espresso acts like a fair and decentralized air traffic controller for everybody. It creates one single shared clock for a whole bunch of different rollups, which is a massive step towards getting them to play nicely together. And now for the most radical idea of the bunch, based rollups. The philosophy here is incredibly simple. Why bother building a brand new sequencer with all its complexities when the most secure and decentralized one in the world, Ethereum, already exists? So a based rollup has no sequencer. It just outsources the whole job to Ethereum. This gives it unbelievable security, but it comes with one pretty big catch. And that catch is speed, or, well, the lack of it. Waiting 12 seconds for your transaction to be confirmed feels like an absolute eternity. But the solution is? Honestly, it's ingenious. It's called based pre-confirmations. Basically, Ethereum's own validators can put their own money on the line to give you an instant financially backed promise that your transaction will be included in the next block. If they lie, they lose their money. So you get the speed of a centralized system, but with the rock-solid security of Ethereum. Okay, so we've been deep in the technical weeds with all this architectural stuff, but the real end game, the final and most important layer, is all about making this insane complexity just completely disappear for the user. And this slide just nails the paradigm shift. Right now, we live in an imperative world. We have to give the blockchain a super detailed 5-step list of instructions to do anything. The future is declarative. You just state what you want. You declare your intent. I want my money over there. You figure out how to make it happen. It's that simple. So how does this magic work? Well, it's pretty cool. You just state your goal. Then, a specialized agent called a solver sees your request and instantly, and I mean instantly, gives you the funds on the other chain right out of their own pocket. For you, the whole thing is done in a second. The solver is the one who then takes on all the risk and deals with the slow, complicated bridging process in the background to get their money back, plus a little fee for their trouble. In fact, this idea is so powerful that a new standard is being built, ERC 7683, to create a universal marketplace for these solvers. So instead of every app having to build its own little network, they can all just plug into one giant global network. And all that competition between solvers trying to win your business, it's going to drive costs way down and give you the best possible experience. And that brings us to this really powerful core idea. The ultimate goal of all this hard work on modularity, on building 1,000 separate islands, is to stitch them back together so perfectly that for you, the user, it feels like we're right back in that one single unified city again. All the complexity just melts away. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. After going through all the deep tech, the sequencers, the proofs, the trilemmas, we have to ask ourselves, what if the real solution to Web3's great disconnect isn't just a better bridge, but an experience that's so smooth, so seamless, that the user never even realizes there are islands to cross in the first place? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.